Welcome back to the Good Eggs podcast. My name is Anthony McDermott, and today we're joined by a very special guest, Mr. Alfie Joey, the SpeakEasy Guy. So, Alfie, welcome.
Thank you very much, Anth. Great to be here with a real good egg, by the way.
I don't know about that, mate.
I'm going to embarrass you now. The first time I met you and spoke to you, you're one of them people who you feel like you've known for a long time, which is a great compliment.
That's lovely.
And but that's a good sign of a good egg, I would say.
Well, thank you very much. Well, handily, this podcast we decided to name after me, then, didn't we? No, honestly, Alfie, I really appreciate that, and thanks so much for coming along. So, for those of us joining us for the first time, this is the Good Eggs podcast, where we meet good people doing good stuff across the Northeast. And who better than a man I'd call my friend, Mr. Alfie Joey. So me and Alfie met around about, well, we've probably met lots of times over the years, but we met properly about 2 years ago at an event that he did with the Northeast BIC. Alfie hosted it like the pro that he is. But what he did is he made sure that everybody in the room was involved. He taught me so many things, and he just inspired a room full of people, which I really took to heart and have loved it. So thank you so much.
Very kind.
So, Alfie, today all I want to do really is find out a little bit about you, a little bit about where you came from, how you got to where you are today, because genuinely, and I mean this, you're one of the best speakers I've ever come across, if not the best.
Very kind.
And I mean that honestly, the natural warmth you have, it's lovely, honestly, it really is. So yeah, let's just find out a bit about you.
Let's go for it.
So Alfie, who are you and where are you from? So where are you?
Watching it away from, I'm from a little pit village about 7 miles that way, Thornley, County Durham. So my dad was a coal miner, very much rooted in the community where, you know, those sort of places were full of good eggs. And they exist because of good eggs, and there's good eggism going on everywhere you look. And my mum and dad, for a time, ran the local workmen's club, as it was then, you know, no women in the bar, all that sort of very old school stuff. But they existed because there were coal mines in all these villages, and people coming home from shift work needed a pint and heavy duty work. So my dad and mum ran that. Well, that was my first home.
Right, okay.
So they were community centres, really. They were places for entertainment and drink and socialising.
And to win a meat raffle?
Yes, yeah. Committee meetings, bingo, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So that was my first home. Yeah. So even when I can't remember much about that, as I was growing up, people used to say, oh, you used to be on stage with a mic when you were 2 or 1 or whatever. And I can't remember that, but I was always wanting to be a speaker and play with microphones, be a singer and be an impressionist, but I never thought that was possible. No. Kids from where I was from, that was dream on, matey. You'll never ever achieve that sort of thing.
So what do you think you wanted to do when you were a kid growing up in County Durham? What was your aspirations? Did you have any? Or?
All of those things.
Right, okay.
So I wanted to be on the radio. And I used to listen to the radio with my mum, Radio 2, Waggoner's Walk, Jimmy Young, Terry Wogan, all that. And I'd watch local telly and think I'd love to do that. And I never thought that was possible. I'd watch things like Opportunity Knocks, New Faces with me dad. We loved light entertainment. Thought I'll never do that. I'd love to. And I dreamt of doing it. And then I ended up getting a radio show, doing sitcoms on telly. I was on our generation's Opportunity Knocks, which is Britain's Got Talent. So, by accident, not by design, but lots of hard work, I ended up doing all those things that I thought were truly impossible for a pit village lad.
Do you know what? That's amazing. And I think, I myself, I've dragged up in all the council estates in the Northeast, and I think when you're in those situations with those people around you, you often think, well, how do I get to here? How do I cut around wearing a suit in the local environment, whatever it is? And you're right, it's about hard work and dedication, isn't it? And it's also a lot about who you know, isn't it? And making those connections.
Absolutely. And listening to the right people. Yeah. Because while my mum and dad never pushed me in any of these directions, they were always baffled by me wanting. It was a bit like the Billy Elliot story. My dad was on the miners' strike. I went away to train to be a priest, which is my equivalent of ballet. and it was very confusing for him. But my mum and dad said, whatever you do, we support you. Whatever you do.
Love that.
And so that was with me all the way. Whereas other people who sometimes I was alongside had parents pressuring them or criticising them, I just had pure support.
Love that.
And and although they couldn't understand it or were confused at times or worried, they just, anything you do is right with us. Amazing. How good's that? It's fantastic.
That's all you want, isn't it?
And I did have people who, I can remember going back when I'd started being a comedian, and I went back and there was a lass I went to school with, and I really liked her, and we were friends and all that, and she worked in a cafe in a Durham bus station, and I went in for a cup of tea and a pie or something, and she said, what are you doing now? And I said, are you not in the priest thing anymore? I said, no, I'm a comedian. She went, ooh, like that was why would anybody think they could do that from our village sort of look? I'm guessing, but there were those people as well along the way who would be sort of
judgmental,
naysayers. Yeah, people who do you think you are sort of types, and you have to block them out. You have to. I said this morning to someone that you can't be comparing yourself to anyone else. Just compare yourself to your previous self, to what you were like this time a couple of years ago, and just keep moving on.
And I think that's one thing you've always kind of came across when I've heard you do your talks, and when I spoke to you, it's always about being you, being authentic. I think that's been really your key message, really, isn't it? I think you're right.
Well, that's a word that bandied about a lot now, but I think it's almost having a second life because of AI. And everyone's talking about AI, and I think AI is brilliant, by the way, and you can't fight against it. It's like ignoring the internet. You've got to work out how you can use it. And I think the best way to use it is just be yourself. Be yourself as much as you can, and then you can use it to supplement that or be in your slipstream, and it's not bossing you, you're bossing it by nobody can replace you. And the oldest sales adage is people buy from people.
Of course they do,
So it doesn't matter how, whizzer and chips your whole output is and how smooth all that can be, if you don't come through. Here's an interesting one. I'm in quite a few networking groups, and just before Christmas, I asked everyone around the table to say what was your post with the most online this year, and everyone went around. It wasn't, I turned over this amount of money, I just made this kind of promotion, I did this. It was all and only personal. And I'm not saying churn loads of that out. I suggest putting a little bit of that out, because people love a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, they do. People
just love a little behind the scenes. What do you do at home? What do you do on the way to work? What's
real, isn't it? It's real, isn't it?
That's the human side. People buy into it then. And I say use that as the tent poles between the other stuff. You do have to sell your business or say, I do this, this is available. But then here's an advert, which is a good advert about me, and it's just a fun bit.
Which is, I think, why I've got one of the best jobs in the world, working with social entrepreneurs who it's all in there, it's all heart, it's all them. They're not, listen, most of them know they're never going to make a great amount of money, they're not going to, be able to buy the yacht, buy the big house, but what they can do is make a difference because they care about something. And I think if you do that, then the world's your oyster, isn't it?
Something I've noticed a lot, and you'll know more about this than me, but I've worked with so many great charities, and it is a real difficulty telling people how brilliant you are and what you do, because it sounds like you're showing off, you're being big-headed, when you're doing something because you love it and because you're proud of it and because you're making a difference to someone or the community, but you've got the best stories to tell. You have to tell those stories. I'm on a mission to prize them out and get those stories out. I'm an ambassador for a charity. They don't do it as much as they should.
Who's the charity you're involved with?
Sick Children's Trust. So they're all over the country. And I recently they had a lovely art exhibition on in London, and I painted a picture for it and sent it down, and they made a little bit extra for that, but they had lots of great artists and, being exhibited in Pall Mall or somewhere. And then they sold all the paintings.
Brilliant.
But I just think that is so visual. That's an example of where you could have got all the artists to send videos down and all this sort of stuff, and just It's always easier from the outside looking in, but I think if you do not sit on stories, that's the only message there. Don't sit on brilliant stories.
You heard it first. Bang your drum. That's what Alfie's saying. Bang your drum. Please do.
I know you don't. Nobody wants to say, I'm a good egg. I'm really good. And I'm not saying do that, but just shine a light on somebody else who is, or shine a light on your cause and say, this is brilliant. You need to be involved.
Love that. So let's take it back. So, because you've done lots and lots of wonderful things. You know, you talked about being involved in the priesthood, is that right?
I trained to be a priest and then joined a religious order. Long time ago.
As you do. As a lad from a village in County Durham definitely does. So take us back. So you were at school, you were aspiring to be an entertainer, you were thinking about what am I going to do with my life. Obviously, I'm guessing around about 16, 17 at this point.
No, I was about 7 when I wanted to be a priest.
Right, okay.
So very odd.
Right, okay.
And then and that stayed with me. So eventually the parish priest and the headmaster came.
So where did that come from? Were your family religious? Or?
No.
Okay,
not at all.
Wow,
so
that's probably rare, is it?
Yeah. So it was my old auntie used to go to church, my Auntie Mary, my grandma I'd sometimes go with. But I honestly think I was boringly nice at school. So I would do paper rounds, go shopping for old people and tap on the window, you've got everything you need, you know as a kid. And I loved going around my headmasters and digging his garden and doing stuff for people.
Do you know what? Very quick one on that, right? So I went out for a walk the other day and there was a guy out with a lawnmower, knocking on people's doors, asking to cut their lawn. Kid, about 15-year-old. I thought, do you know what? How amazing is that? Nobody does that anymore.
I've got a lad who comes around mine. He's washed the car.
Love that.
He's brought drinks round in hot weather, tins of Coke. He's baked cakes.
Love that.
And he's got, can I do your garden? Can I do this? And I shout up to my kids, the grafters here. They hate us. And because they're a bit more privileged. But this lad, he brought a box of water on his bike balanced from this block of flats over beyond. And he'll be all right. Yeah. He'll be all, and I look back and I had lots of these jobs when we went carol singing, we did penny for the guy, we dig people's gardens, I did 3 paper rounds.
Yeah, I had a paper round.
So I've never thought of myself as being entrepreneurial. When I look back, I was doing stuff around that. You know, I was always working and making money.
Do you know what? My paper round, I've said this to somebody the other day, my paper round was one of the best things I ever did. And people say, well, that's a bit of a strange thing. And I say, well, no, because I was 12, 13, I was earning about 15, 20 quid a week, which was a lot of money for a kid who didn't really have much. More importantly, I was up out of bed at 6 o'clock every day on my little bike. That discipline goes through your whole life. And I really encourage anyone to get in that routine, get doing something, because it'll follow you all the way through.
It will.
You know, if more young people need to get into these things, don't they? And
it's your apprenticeship, really.
Yeah, of course
it's your apprenticeship. And that's what I remember Michael Parkinson saying about X Factor types. Yeah. And he was saying that, you know, when they have a rocky time, when they have a bad time, they haven't got the apprenticeship to fall back on of doing the clubs for 10 years or doing, and he's right. And I think anything that sets you up or gives you that apprenticeship is worth its weight in gold.
Love that.
Yeah. So I went away to train to be a priest. Very confusing for me mum and dad. Right. And I went off to this like Hogwarts in another part of the country when I was 13.
Wow.
I went to Peterlee.
That young? Wow.
I went to Peterlee Comprehensive for a couple of years, and the priest went, do you still want to do this? I went, yeah. So off I went, and my dad was crying his eyes out, couldn't understand it. And then I went from right through that seminary to senior seminary at Ushaw College. I don't know if you know it, in Durham.
I was up there recently, actually. Yeah, it's a beautiful building.
Yeah,
wow.
So I lived in that. Right. It wasn't beautiful when I was. It was freezing cold. Right. Didn't have a nice lick of paint or anything. It was freezing. But incredible, because from there I went out. It was like being in Calder's or something for a time, but you were allowed out to do pastoral work.
Right, okay.
So we would go out to old people, we'd keep them company on a Monday afternoon, and then you'd walk to them over fields, and then you'd come back, and then the next year you went out to junior schools and you did a chaplaincy placement, then a secondary school.
But you're still very young at this point, I'm assuming.
No, this when I was an adult.
Okay, right, okay.
So and then you went either hospitals or prisons. Right. So I did a stretch in Durham prison out on good behaviour. But it was, you know, I can't think of any other sphere of life where I'd have gone into hospices, hospitals, prisons with a role.
How amazing is that, though? The amount of different people you must meet.
Absolutely. And, the stories people told you and shared with you and the insight you got. So when I eventually, fast forward, got a job on local radio, I remember a grizzled reporter saying, "What do you know about journalism?" when I got the breakfast show. And he was right. I wasn't a trained journalist, but the stuff I'd done was very bizarre, and it informed. We'd have regular discussions, phone-ins about the conditions in prisons. Yeah. And people would say, "Well, it's like a holiday camp in there." And I'd say, "Well, it's not." Yeah. I know, because I've been in Franklin. Yeah. I did a year in Franklin and a year in Durham. Yeah. And it just gives you an experience you'll never forget.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I also guess, you hear all these people's stories. You hear that actually people who might have just made a wrong turn in life, and that's an educational piece, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
Absolutely. And so, you would see the story sometimes in the paper, in the Daily Mirror, say this monster, that, or whatever, and you think, I've just spoken. I mean, this guy is not all monster. Yeah. There's another side. There's something happened. Something went wrong somewhere. Fascinating.
No, brilliant. So from priesthood into radio, how did you find your way into radio then?
Via comedy, really. Right, comedy opened. So I left the priesthood to be a comedian, which was very odd for my family then. My dad had died sadly, but he would have loved me doing comedy, I think. But my mum...
you must have had lots of material, mustn't you, to be fair?
Well, I never did comedy about that, because I thought, nobody who's going to believe that?
See, I think everybody says that. Turning the stone over, wouldn't it?
Everybody says that, and I've never found it... I do a little bit now. Right. I do mention it a bit, but I've never found it that funny, because I've always thought, that's just what I did. It was just normal to me, But I did lots of impressions, and I did lots of sort of comparing, lots of MC work. So that led to lots of different types. You do the Edinburgh Festival, and then somebody said, "Can you come on my radio show?" Yeah, I was in a couple of sitcoms, and then the boss of BBC Newcastle asked a pal of mine, Justin Moorhouse from Phoenix Nights. He said, "Do you know any Northeast comedians who could do an afternoon show?" And he recommended me, and he gave us the job. Amazing. After one conversation. So
what year was this then?
So that would be 2008 or something, I think. Okay. Yeah. Right, so I'd done comedy for quite a while, and I was doing lots of TV warm-up work in Manchester, Granada Studios. I was doing University Challenge warm-ups, all that sort of stuff, And,
do you know, once upon a time, I got it when I was young squaddy once upon a time, and randomly we got these tickets for You've Been Framed.
Yeah.
They came along and they said, right, there's 100 tickets for You've Been Framed. Can you bring some guys down? So we were like, we'll go on the telly, as you do. And it was Mandy Dingle, Lisa Riley. She was hosting. And we went along, and I always remember, because I was on TV, they had a shot to the crowd, and I was there with my white socks on and my black shoes. Brilliant, thanks, Mum. Anyway, but I remember the warm-up guy. The warm-up guy, which may well have been you at the time, who knows?
No.
This was about 2000.
I think it would have been, it might have been Andrew Collins or Ted Robbins.
Well, I tell you what, he was brilliant. But I didn't know what a warm-up guy was. I'd never been on TV before, I sat in a crowd, and he came out, and a good 10, 15 minutes of, sing along to this, dance along to this, and we were, and at first, it's funny, isn't it? Because everyone's I'm not. But honestly, these guys are pros, and you obviously a pro. It's amazing the way that the whole crowd
some of the longest nights of my life, because they go on for hours and hours. Yeah. And anytime there's a retake or a cut, Alfie, back on again. So about the 35th, you're all right at the beginning. The 35th time, me again. Some of them I can remember doing, the first University Challenge I did, I remember the floor manager going, "This would be the easiest one you've got." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "It's a quiz show." He said, "So it runs to time." Right. So you do 10 minutes. He said, "Now, it is all people and students and nothing in between. So try and hit them both, which is not easy." He said, "But do 10 minutes of that. Introduce the two teams. Introduce Jeremy," as it was then. And then, and that's it. So, all right. So I go out and do me 10 minutes, all my best bits, clumped together, bang, bang, laughing their way, ready. And then it starts, it starts, and a buzzer got stuck. They went, "Alfie, could you go back?" And I was on for about half an hour. Even Jeremy Paxman was joining in to help me. I remember, because they get fans at these things, people who go back over and over again. Yeah, especially oldies, they get, and they get to know the presenters and think that, they know them. And stuff. So this woman comes up and she goes, "And that's for you." And she gives me, I don't know if we should be telling this now.
Tell it.
Here's a jar of marmalade. She gives me a jar of marmalade. I've honestly never told her. So I thought, oh, thank you, homemade. And she gives, Jeremy, that's yours, you get the nicer one. And she walked off and he just threw it in the bin. And I went, what are you doing? And he went, you don't know where that's been. You don't know who's made that. You don't know what. And I went, well, he's right, but I went over there.
Bless her. And he's still here?
Yes, I am. He probably had a point.
Bless her. Yeah. So was Britain's Got Talent before this, after this?
No, so that was much later. So basically I was well into radio years.
Right, so you went into radio as, did you get a show straight away?
I got the afternoon show, which was music, interviews with celebrities, that kind of thing, very easy going.
How did you find local radio? Love it?
Brilliant, brilliant.
Do you know, I think it's really sad, Alfie, that local radio's, it's pretty much gone.
It's being networked. It's being networked.
It's so sad, isn't it?
The trouble is, because I was on it during the COVID years, and you talk about...
You're somebody's best friend, aren't you, during those times?
When things go wrong, local radio is at its most powerful, because you can't get help in other places. You know, they give you... So, for instance, if there's storms, floods, school closures, COVID, the figures go through the roof, because people can't, if they normally listen to 5 Live or Radio 4, they can't get the information they need. They've got to come to you. So you've got them. But with COVID, it was extraordinary because everyone had so many different problems. And I was using LinkedIn at the time. Lots of people on the radio weren't at all. I think they still don't. But I was using it. And I was getting lots of businesses going, can you help us? So I was getting business people on in the morning. For the first hour. We had an extra hour to fill. I had to go in an hour earlier. I did with a presenter less, so they took a presenter off me. And I started the show at 6 o'clock. So it was me, my producer, the newsreader, and a BA, broadcast assistant. And we were like in a bunker, you know. It was like siege mentality. And we wanted to do the best we could every day. And it was exhausting. I remember doing a year, I never took a week off because I knew how lucky I was, because I got to still work. And my comedian mates especially, who were used to adulation, and they were cracking up quite openly.
That whole industry just died, didn't it? Gone, literally overnight.
I did a couple of comedy gigs online. You can't do it. It's horrible. I did one for Grace House. I remember, just trying to help out, but it's not, people
we don't get the reaction, do you?
No,
that's the problem.
The time and there's a delay. Are you on mute? Turn the mute off and laugh.
It might be better actually now because we're all a bit more well versed. But in those days, Zoom was the big thing, wasn't it? Nobody had ever used it before.
I hadn't. No. I remember somebody asked me will you give us a motivational speech during COVID? So I came on. I'd never used Zoom before. I said, well, if you set it all up, and then he went, okay, everyone put yourselves on mute. And I talked for half an hour to a camera, not seeing it, and I'm thinking, is this still on? Is there anyone there? Am I going mad? I did the whole half hour, and then I went, and that's the end. And the guy comes on and went, oh, that was great, thank you. Could you all unmute and give Alfie a round of applause, please? And all these, it was so weird, but that was where we were at. But it was just every day you'd have requests from people, and once they knew you wanted to help them, they'd give them a ring and I thought we were a service during well,
I was thinking of local radio as it's a best friend, isn't it? It's somebody's best friend.
My mum's companion. She lives in a bungalow. She hasn't got a telly, so she just needs local radio. She doesn't do that, my mum. She didn't turn over.
No. So it's a shame, isn't it, that it's kind of, it has gone, let's be honest, it has, isn't it?
It's very, very, the whole system of media is changing so quickly because of that. But there are some, the Northern Echo is doing a great job of fighting to be as local as possible. And I think that's the secret. And you, as a business person, know this. If everyone else is going, well, let's not go local anymore, you go, look at that space.
Do you know what?
Let's go more local.
It's dead funny you say that. I was talking to a client the other day. We were talking about marketing, and the client was on about social media, digital. And I was like, hang on a minute, where's your particular customers? And this particular client's customers were all older. They were all 60 plus. They're probably not going to, and this is not being discriminatory, but they're probably not going to be living on Facebook or Twitter or any of the X or any of these platforms, what they might do though is they might go to a community centre, they might go to the supermarket, they go in real life, they still might want to read a newspaper.
See a flyer or something.
So we talked about flyers and we talked about the written press, and they were like, really? I went, I'm telling you now, if you're different. I said, if I get a letter now, I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon, not only because Royal Mail take 2 weeks, but I'm over the moon to get a letter because it's just it's different, isn't it? So I think you're right, being different is always going to be a winner, I think.
And I still, send cards to people and still send things, and it always surprises people. And I did a gig in Belgium for the EU before Christmas, and I sent a card to the CEO, and he got such a shock. He didn't send me one back. He sent me a LinkedIn message saying, it's such a surprise and so unusual to receive a card, but you stand out as well. You do something a bit different.
Love that. I love that. So BBC Newcastle, so when did that come to an end?
So that came to an end after COVID. 2023, I decided I knew they were going to open the doors and everything was going to start. Events would start again. And because the show had become all-consuming, I was obsessed with it, in a good way. But it probably wasn't doing me and my family any good. I was obsessed with it for years, and I didn't realise that till I left. I didn't realise how tired I was till I left. So I got an opportunity. Ray Spencer, what a good egg.
Is this Customs House?
Yes. He should be on it. He's a good egg. Good. He's done so much for South Tyneside, and he's so committed and passionate about the area and the theatre and the culture, and he's pure goodness, Good. So Ray offered me the pantomime, and he offered me the chance to design the theatre and design it and draw the costumes, and so that was my art being used. So that was my get out of jail card from the BBC, and they were lovely. Maybe they wanted rid of me, but they were lovely. They gave me a fantastic send off. And they welcomed me back, and there was talk of doing a weekend show, but I think I had to make a clean break. But I was very wobbly leaving. It took me a while to find out exactly what sort of things I should be doing properly. And I think I'm still getting there,
Well, it's still fresh, isn't it? I mean, it's only 3 years ago, isn't it? It's a bit, really, isn't it? So Britain's Got Talent, we've got to talk about Britain's Got Talent. So which part of the story that
So it'll be 10 years ago this year.
So 2016.
Yes, brilliant. 2016. I was in a double act with another lad who did it, who was a lot younger than me, and he did impressions, and I did impressions, so he said, should we do some shows? So we did some shows at the Newcastle Comedy Festival, put some videos on YouTube, and I remember doing some videos on YouTube in the BBC at night, going back in and recording these videos, hats and wigs, and I remember this, he's a TV newsreader, you might recognise him, and he went, what are you doing? And this is what I was saying about don't listen to the naysayers. I said, well, we're just doing some videos just for YouTube. He went, what, at your age? Like, just rolling his eyes and just, like, who do you think you are? He was just confused, But anyway, I went, So we put it on YouTube, and what Britain's Got Talent do, they often go around drama academies, dance schools, say, what have you got? Or they troll YouTube. Right. And they got in touch with me pal and said, can you come on? You don't have to audition. You can go straight in front of the judges on Sunday at the Dominion Theatre. Amazing. So it was quite so I said no. Right. I'd never watched it, by the way. I was aware of it, but I hadn't watched it. I was always reluctant to go for that sort of thing because the buzzer element. It's that... And I thought,
it's soul destroying, isn't it? It's
I know some really good comedians who've been on it, who got buzzed off straight away. And I thought, that's on YouTube forever. And I don't want my kids seeing that. That'd be Anyway, I said to my wife, I'm not doing it. And she went, you are. Because she said, well, why are you out rehearsing and putting things on YouTube if you're not going to do something with it?
And it's profile as well, isn't it? I mean, profile-wise, it must take you from there to there, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it did. It did. I mean, we went down to London. It was so funny going to the Dominion. You knew you were getting near Britain's Got Talent because you would just see acrobats, people with unicycles, dogs. Honestly, it was just like the circus going in the same direction. We've got the theatres packed, acts everywhere, and we think we're never going to stand out here. And then it's a brilliant operation. They've got all these carousel, you go down there, you'll be interviewed by them, then you go from there, and somebody will take you to that room, and you be on that level, and then you go and do. We were down to do the afternoon show, and I didn't have a watch, and I'm like, I don't know what time it is. We didn't have our phones. We'd had to hand our bags in and everything. And I was meant to be on the radio the next morning in Newcastle, this in London. So I'm going, we're going to miss the afternoon show here. They're going, can we bump you to the evening show? I said, whoa, I said, listen, I've got a job to do tomorrow morning. I can't, we'll see what we can do. And they just kept fudging it till they went, you're doing the evening show. I went, well, what? Anyway, we'll put you on early. So I was going, I'm still going to miss the train here. And we then, I haven't got my phone, and we're just constantly being interviewed. Yeah. And they put you behind the curtain, and you can see Ant and Dec there introducing people on, and you can just hear that going through the whole buildings, like reverberating.
So is that all pretty real? That
live? Yeah. So this is the evening show started, and they go, come here. They've got a camera there, and they've got me and me pal, and they've got a Romanian dressed as Superman with an accordion. And he's there, you can hardly speak English, and they're filming us. And we just said, what do you think you're going to do? Well, we'll do this. And we're just saying any old thing. And so he tapped us on the shoulder and went, there, you're on now. And me and me went, what? And then they went, we're only joking. That was just for a reaction shot. Right. So your adrenaline's going up and down and up and down. So basically, by the time you're eventually going to be on, you're not nervous. Yeah, we were.
That's quite clever, then, really, isn't it?
It's very clever. Yeah. It's very clever. And they'd also pitted us against a female impressionist who was really angry and was quite anyway, she got buzzed off. She was furious. And also, while we were waiting, nobody was getting buzzed off. And I was saying, if ever we needed somebody to be buzzed off, it's now, because they haven't had a buzz for ages. Yeah. Anyway, we went on and we got 4 yeses and we got a standing ovation.
Who was the judges at the time?
Simon Cowell, David Williams, Alicia, Amanda.
That was prime.
Yes, it was good. And they were all glowing about us, and all I wanted was the YouTube clip.
Yeah.
So when we got it, so that's had 3 million hits, and I mean, it was the wrong time for me to do it. I should have done it years beforehand, because you do an appearance like that to get a job on local radio. Yeah. And I felt a bit sorry for my mate, because he was raring to go and ready to go, and can we go and can we do a tour, or could we go on cruise ships? And a lot of people go on cruise ships with that little clip of the judges standing up, and that's your cue to do your act, and that's it. You can go on tour.
Well, I remember going on holiday when the Britain's Got Talent years were out. Everywhere you went on holiday, Thompson Gold holiday, Britain's Got Talent finalists, Britain's Got Talent this. Everywhere you went, Britain, BGT sold, didn't it? It sold. It did. They didn't have to be any good.
No.
I remember seeing a magician I was in Menorca, right? This magician was on the stage, right? And I swear to you, you could see the strings of the floaty things. And I mean, it was horrific. But he'd got a gig.
Would he been on Britain's Got Talent?
7 or 8 month residency there. I mean, incredible.
Oh, wait, straight after that, we got a big corporate gig down in Wales at this huge hotel in front of Santander with all of these other people who'd been singing Stormtroopers and what have you and all that. And then we got to do one for Ant and Dec at the Crown Plaza. Every table was full of celebrities. And I remember my mate was more terrified at that than, because it was, do you remember Doddy Weir, who was so Doddy was the compere, and we were told we'd be going on at 10 o'clock. 11:30, and it's the room smashed and drunk celebrities everywhere, and it was just raucous. So my mate was white, I remember, and I went, we'll be all right. And I knew we'd be going on late, so I wrote us a song to sing in impressions. So we did that, and it worked, and we got it. So we had some very, very incredible. You know, you 15 seconds of fame, that's what it was.
But you know what, all these 15 seconds, all these snippets, all these bits of your life, that, I guess, come into the present day in what you do now with the SpeakEasy Guy.
Absolutely.
You can use all of this material, can't you, I guess?
I do. It's, to me, and I say this to everyone, you know, look at your bag of tricks. And you might not be able to do impressions or the things that I can do, but I'm very limited in lots of other stuff. So go check your back catalogue. There's more there than you think, and there's more things you could use to tell your story, do your videos, do, and so I'm constantly trying to plunder my bag of tricks and use it for what I do now.
Love that. So, radio finished, you then went into speaking, is that right?
Yes.
So the public speaking is kind of that's where you're coming to present day, isn't it? So tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So basically, I started saying I'd like to be a public speaker, but I didn't fully know what my talk was. I know I can host events. I'm always going to be a host. I'll always be a facilitator. I love interviewing people. I love being on panels. So that will always continue. Yeah. But after so long, you'll know this from doing this. So I've hosted countless events and I do research on everybody, and I look stuff up and I learn facts and think of interesting questions. And it takes a lot of work, but it all effectively, in one sense, goes in the bin because you've got to start all over again for the next person. Yeah. In another way, it doesn't because you've got better and you're professional. But after too long, I realised I need to be that guy, the guy in the other chair who just turns up and does the talk for the 40 minutes or the hour and then goes. Yeah. And it is a lot less work and very often for more money. Of course. But that's because you've earned it, because you've done
the hard miles, haven't you?
Yes, you've put together something that really matters, and hopefully that's your vault of treasure for the audience, that you're sharing all of the tips, tools and tactics that you've learned through the years. So, and I say this, people are not paying for that day, they're paying for 30 years of knowledge and what you've learned.
And that's exactly why we wanted to get you on Good Eggs, because, there's so many things that you've just told us in that 40 minutes there that somebody can take away, whether it's use your life experience to your best of your ability, whether it's thinking outside the box and doing something different. There are so many hints and tips in there, Alfie, and I love it. Before we kind of wrap, because I tell you what, that's absolutely flown over, by the way, hasn't it?
This is part one. We'll see you next week.
So one of the questions that we always ask on the Good Eggs podcast is, we always ask, what is your scrambled egg moment? So we ask that, what is the moment in life where things maybe weren't going so well and you thought you had to maybe change track or whatever? Tell us a little bit about your scrambled egg moment and what you did to make it better.
I'm still having them. By the way, I'm still having them. I am terrible with anything to do with finance, chasing money. It's just not me. Yeah. I've never been a person who's been money orientated, and that's got me into trouble. Yeah. And it still gets me into trouble. And I've buried my head in the sand and thought, if I just work harder, if I just keep working harder, all that will go away. But you have to deal with that, and you have to be responsible, especially if you've got a family or you employ other people. So it's an ongoing scrambled egg moment for me. Okay. But I would say that the biggest one would have been when I left the BBC. I planned quite a bit, but I didn't anywhere near plan enough. Right. Okay. So any other time I changed tack, so like when I left the religious order to be a comedian, when I left comedy to do radio, there were smoother transitions. Right. Yeah. Whereas this one was a bit clunkier and I didn't have everything lined up. And I would say just be strategic and just be planned, have a coach, have someone who's a mentor. Mentors are crucial just to make sure you've got somebody you're answerable to or you're accountable to.
I think that's the right word, isn't it? Accountable. If you've got someone who's checking you, just make sure, if I need to tweak it this way or turn this way down the tracks, then that person can do it. And you need somebody who's honest as well, don't you?
Absolutely.
A yes person doesn't help anybody.
No.
You need somebody who's going to go
strict.
He's going to go, actually, Alfie, that's not great. But have you thought about doing it this way? Yeah, I think you're right. Final question. So that's our scrambled egg moment. What would you say is your golden egg? What would be your golden nugget, your golden piece of advice you would give anybody looking to do good, I guess, or looking to make their way in business?
If you want to make your way in business, I'd say right now, I've said it already, don't sit on stories. Share them, get them out there. And I say this over and over again, storytelling is as old as time itself. People used to draw on cave walls. People used to pass stories on the oral tradition. Now is the golden age of storytelling in business, in charity. If you're not doing it, you're going to be behind the curve. This is the age of the panel and the podcast. It's the Reels revolution. It's the network and natter moment. You've got to tell stories or you lose. We're not living in the age of billboards and yellow pages adverts doing the work for you. Yeah. You've got this now. And this is the best bit. with Yellow Pages and all that, you have to pay. This is free. This is free. So go to the gym. I tell people to go to the gym. And by that, I don't mean dress like you and go to, I mean, turn the camera on, talk to your camera and practice. That's the gym. You can practice and that's where you can get better. And if you're worried that, well, nobody might watch it, good. That's all right. That's when you're allowed to be rubbish and you will get better if you do it more and more.
Love that. Love that. Well, on that note, Alfie, honestly, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your life story, some of your skills. I mean, honestly, I could sit here and talk to Alfie for about 3 weeks, to be honest. But honestly, thank you so much for coming in. And Alfie, all that's left for me to say is thanks for being a good egg. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers,
thanks, mate.